Step right up, dummies, and listen to the stupidest sports show on earth with Rodney Newpol and Tim Van Stratton. Yeah. Well, hello there, dummies, and welcome to episode number 51 of the stupidest sports show on earth. My name, of course, as you know, is Tim Tiny Van Stratton, not to be confused with Tiny Tim Van Stratton. Totally different guy. With me is Rodney Newpol, a very tired but very happy March Madness fan. Rodney, happy Friday. Good morning, my friend.
I mean, I'm as happy as I can be for my Kansas Jayhawks completely laying an egg in the final 5 minutes of that game. So I'm glad. I am happy, actually, because I'm glad America got to see what I got to see last night, because I saw way too much of that all season long. Like, Hunter Dickinson literally is probably the biggest bust, a 2-year bust in college basketball. Now, I don't know about his Michigan career. I didn't follow it as closely. I know he was highly spoke of as far as the, scoring, rebounding, stuff like that. But the dude was a bust at Kansas. Big talk about coming over. Number 1 in the country to start the season, lost in first round. And 2 of his late game turnovers last night. One of them, he literally passed to nobody on the 3-point line, like to nobody. And the other one, he tried to throw inside and wasn't even close. I'm done with it. I'm tired of it. Thank God they lost, actually, because I don't need to see them play on Saturday. I don't need to waste my time watching them play. I'll watch other good basketball. Anyways, good morning.
Good morning, man. What a fiery way to start the show. I love it. Yeah. Now, I don't believe you when you say you're glad they lost. I'm going to call bullshit on that one. But to your credit, you did say not too long ago that this is, quote, the worst Kansas Jayhawks team that you have ever seen.
Oh, so bad.
Keep in mind, the worst Kansas team that you've ever seen was still a 7 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
So you were very fortunate in that regard. But yeah, I mean, I don't think realistically people should have thought that Kansas was a title contender. And certainly you weren't on the bandwagon thinking that they were going to make a deep run. Even if they won yesterday, you probably thought they would lose to St. John's. And after how St. John's put away Omaha yesterday, I that's what I had in my bracket anyway. But Hunter Dickinson finished 4 of 13 yesterday. 11 points, 9 rebounds, 4 fouls, 4 turnovers, including one where it was a 3-point game. This was during the Kansas collapse in the final 4 minutes where he passed to, I think, directly to the other team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, one of them, like, 2 of his late game turnovers were absolutely some of the worst turnovers ever. It was almost like he was on Arkansas. I'm not saying he was on Arkansas, but it was almost like he was on Arkansas. And just so stupid. Dwan Harris, 4-year point guard, won a national championship. Also, just horrendous. Just absolutely horrendous. This is so I get it. I get it. People hated Kansas for the longest time because they kind of were ahead of the game as far as paying the players. Let's just come out like it is, or finding ways to get players to your campus. Now that it's pretty much the Wild Wild West and you can do whatever you want, suddenly the Jayhawks aren't very good at it. They can't put the right team together. But just horrendous basketball last night. But anyways, that's my first 4 minutes of the show. And I needed to rail on the Kansas Jayhawks one more time to finish this season. Still big fan of Bill Self, but this 24-25 season will go down as ugh.
Put the season to bed officially.
That's right.
And move on for 2025-26. So a couple of housekeeping notes real quick before we get to more NCAA tournament talk. We also have our best 51s in sports that's coming up a little bit later on in the show. Make sure to give us a follow. You can watch live at Stupid Sports Show on Twitter. It's not X. Never will be for us.
Nope.
We are going to be talking a lot of NCAA tournament. The day that you and I you brought it up first, and I was like, yeah, you're kind of right. Apart from the last 2 games of the night when many people were sleeping, a pretty lackluster group in terms of the buzzer beaters, the epic surprises. Like, McNeese was the big upset as a 12 seed. but it was one that a lot of people did have on their bracket. Like they were one of the more popular upset picks. And also it was a blowout. Like it was a blowout for 95% of the game until Clemson just couldn't miss, and that made the score look a lot closer than the game was. We're gonna get to that though, but you wanted to talk about something first, not even college basketball related, to open up the show. So go ahead.
Yeah,
I think Rodney Rant in you.
Yeah, there's only one team in Major League Baseball that has 2 losses on the season, and that would be the Chicago Cubs. It's too bad. It really is too bad that the Cubs have started in dead last in all of Major League Baseball. Now, part of me is kidding because they played the only 2 teams that have played games, but Cubs in last place. Always a great day to celebrate. We get an opportunity to celebrate this for at least a week now, but the Dodgers did start looking a little bit more like the Dodgers we thought they would be, where they hit 3 home runs on Wednesday. And now we get to wait another week for Major League Baseball next Thursday, Major League Baseball. And I did want to mention on Tuesday next week, I'm going to tease this one out now. On Tuesday, it says Friday, but we're going to do it. We'll do it either Tuesday. We'll do it Tuesday.
Tuesday is probably going to end up being the big MLB preview show for our show, if I had to guess.
So we will do rapid fire Major League Baseball awards, probably at least. Oops, I messed that one up. Hold on, let me get the right awards picks.
Look at this. Look at this production, this live production that you're seeing right now.
Rapid fire MLB awards picks coming on Tuesday. Basically talk MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, maybe even Manager of the Year, because we know our folks here in the Chicago area love that Manager of the Year award. Same as Coach of the Year in the NFL. Anyways, we'll do that on Tuesday. But that's my baseball talk for today. The Chicago Cubs, officially the worst record in all of Major League Baseball. You hate to see it.
They did have 8 hits, much better than their 3 hits in the opening game. Kyle Tucker got a hit. That was good.
Back to MVP.
Obviously. Yeah, huge hit there for their generational star, Kyle Tucker. But yes, they are 0-2. The St. Louis Cardinals, as well as the other teams in the National League Central, have a 1-game lead on the Chicago Cubs right now for a full week. It's very exciting. And you just hate to see it, though. Oh, and speaking of Chicago sports futility, last night after losing 3-1, the Chicago Blackhawks are officially eliminated from postseason contention. Again.
Speaking of that, my St. Louis Blues have won 4 straight and are now the 8th seed. And I know we both kind of called this a week or two ago when we did our final pick for the Western Conference, but they've won 4 in a row. They picked up an overtime win over Vancouver. Now, Vancouver's got, I think, a pair of games in hand on St. Louis, but St. Louis is playing really well right now, and their schedule still remains fairly soft. I'll spend 1 minute talking hockey here real quick, because if you look at the St. Louis Blues remaining schedule, at least for the next few games, Blackhawks on Saturday, rivalry game, I understand that, but the Blackhawks, not very good. Predators on Sunday, a very down Predators year. Canadians on Tuesday come to St. Louis. Not bad, but come to St. Louis at the Predators after that. So then they go to the Avalanche, but then they got Detroit and Pittsburgh at home, both winnable games there as well. So favorable schedule for the Blues here in these next dozen games. Hopefully, for my sake, they can make the playoffs and make postseason hockey a little bit more watchable. Well, it's always watchable, but a little bit more likable.
I mean, I love the NHL playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs. I love watching them. It's nice. This is the only playoff where I'm like, I love it when my team is not in it. Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan. Like, I would love the Ducks to be in the playoffs, right? But like, if they're not in it, it's like, all right, I can watch this. I don't have to be the most nervous I've ever been in my entire life for every single game watching this. I can just sit back and watch, like, enjoy the Panthers Oilers amazing Stanley Cup from last year. Don't have to be nervous about it. I'm just like, this is cool. This is awesome.
Yeah, so real quick, GB, I can't consider Cubs-Dodgers as opening series. They literally go back to spring training before next Thursday. Savannah bananas type of nonsense. And GB, yeah, we've touched on that several times. Neither one of us love it as well. We don't like it at all. But the problem for that is the Cubs are now 0-2, and they're 0-2 in home games. because that was 2 of their home games. It was. They took their home games because the Dodgers aren't giving up those home games.
Yeah.
They're just not. They're not giving up those home games. They're saying, okay, Cubs, you can have 2 home games and we'll go to Tokyo to play you. But yeah, I mean, I don't like it either, but the Cubs are 0-2.
Can I throw this out there real quick? So playing these 2 opening games in Tokyo, is it for our benefit or is it for Japan's benefit? I'm going to assume that it's more for Japan's benefit, right?
Yeah, I would say about has to be for Japan's benefit.
Because it's overnight for us. It's a week before everyone else plays. It's for them. I don't understand why the games have to be regular season games. Like
same.
Is it enough? To me, it feels like it's more than enough to say, all right, just like you could play the same guys, like try to play Ohtani, try to play Yamamoto, try to play Suzuki. Like you do it 2 games, Japan, they don't count, but like play your guys. The stadium's still going to sell out. People are still going to go nuts whenever Ohtani's out there. Why do they have to be regular season games? Why do they have to be games that count toward our fantasy season that force all of us to draft a week earlier than we want to?
Right.
Like, why do they have to count is what I'm saying. I don't feel like there's a good reason for why they should, why these have to be regular season games.
And even at that, we could have had this 2 weeks ago as a preseason game. And yes, some of those regular guys may have maybe come out of the game after 5 or 6 innings, but I mean, at that point, so what? Like, you've already got all the fans there. They've seen Ohtani take 3 at-bats. They've seen Yamamoto throw 5 innings, Sasaki. I mean, those guys, the starting pitchers won't go on very long anyway. You know, it was almost like it was a spring training, matchup for them. So you're right. But here we are, 2 games in on March 21st and still don't have other games for 6 more days. And again, why are we starting the rest of the season on March 27th?
So on it's a Thursday, right? So it's Sweet 16, the first Sweet 16 day.
Yeah,
awesome.
and yeah, most of these baseball games are probably going to be afternoon games, so you'll be able to. They're not necessarily going to compete with the Sweet 16 games, but some of them are in the evening. So yeah, you're competing, and maybe Major League Baseball doesn't care about that, but there are some sports fans that certainly do.
Yeah. Now you got me just thinking about how much I hate the way that baseball starts their season, because they're starting the Thursday, the same day as day 1 of the Sweet 16, right?
Yep.
So it's going to just totally kill into all of their ratings and excitement and buzz. And I remember last year there was there one nationally televised game on opening day, and it was like an ESPN2 game. I could just be pulling that out of my ass, but like I remember being upset because I'm looking at the opening day schedule. I was like, where are all of the games? Like, we should be doing like a primetime triple header. Like, we should be doing all of these things to promote it, but instead, like, everything's going to get buried by March Madness. And how many games are going to be on national TV? I have no idea. I'll look it up here, but I hate the way that they start the season. And if they would have just gone a week later, there'd be no college basketball to go up against. They'd have opening day all to themselves. It's so mind-boggling to me how bad they mess it up every time.
Yeah. And at that now, I mean, I don't know, like, it's something about, and then you move to April, and there's something about just thinking about starting. Maybe it's us in Central Illinois and thinking March, ooh, cold. April, ooh, not bad. You know, like, I don't know, like, just sounds different if you start the season in April. Why are you starting it in March in the first place? Like, I'll never understand it. I will never understand it.
So Thursday, so we have the first game is Brewers Yankees. That's ESPN. So that's a 2 o'clock game on ESPN. And then the other broadcast that's on national TV is ESPN again. So it's a doubleheader with Tigers Dodgers. So we got those 2 ESPN games back to back. And then Friday, we have the Apple TV Plus doubleheader of Orioles Blue Jays and Mets Astros.
Nonsense. I mean, here we are. But we'll be excited for the real season next week, I'm sure. But at this point, it is just hard to get excited about baseball. Maybe after this weekend. So when we have our show on Tuesday, maybe we're all pumped up for baseball. But I just can't get there.
Yeah. This is pissing me off. Let's talk tournament.
All right. Day one upset. So you mentioned McNeese. I will throw out Drake, another upset winner, but one that a lot of people liked. And Drake is another thing that's going to piss you off. So Major League Baseball pissed you off. Now Drake's pissing you off. So I don't know how much longer of this show we're going to get.
It's just, I don't know how people can watch Drake and say like, this is enjoyable basketball to watch. And I'm trying not to be a hater here, but like every single Drake game is missed shots. They get offensive rebounds. All their possessions take them in. Like they showed the stat yesterday. They had 100 more possessions this season than the next highest team. Like it's all just these long possessions, double possession. It's just like missed shots. It's fouls. Like it was ugly basketball. And it's the same exact thing that happened against Bradley, where like, oh, Drake will not hit a field goal for 4.5 minutes. But guess what? The other team didn't either. So it didn't matter. Yeah. And then it just ends up being just a slog. They're going to get absolutely manhandled by Texas Tech, by the way. Like, I know that you took Texas Tech to lose to Wilmington, and for 30-ish minutes or so, that looked really good. But I mean, Texas Tech's going to annihilate them, dude. I maybe I put my Tim curse on it just now, but like Drake's going to get absolutely crushed. I'm sorry.
So the bottom of that West features Drake, Texas Tech, Arkansas, and St. John's.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw a first half not real inspired by St. John's, but we saw a second half that shows why they won the Big East. So on the spot right now, though, that cluster of four, you got St. John's, you got Texas Tech. You still like Texas Tech?
I had Texas Tech over St. John's in that area of the bracket, correct? And I'm still gonna go with that because like I had Missouri, but then I had Missouri losing to Tech, and then like I had Kansas, but I had Kansas losing to St. John, so it doesn't really make too much of a difference to me.
So one of the other quads of four we have set. There's 3 quads that have kind of been set in fours right now. The other one, so one of the 3 games I want to talk about. I love all tomorrow's games because I think second round games you really find those powerhouses really get challenged because those 8-9s are pretty good. One of the 8-9s, Houston Gonzaga. And then we'll go Auburn Creighton after this because Houston is my champion. Auburn is many people's champions. And they are both, and I'm telling you right now, they are both going to be tested tomorrow. Houston Gonzaga looked great, or Georgia looked terrible, one of the two. I still think Houston's full of dogs, like in the good sense of it, not gutless choking dogs, full of really tough dogs. But I am nervous about my Houston Cougars tomorrow. Your thoughts? You got to see Gonzaga, you got to see Houston Gonzaga tomorrow.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people saying that this is one of the worst, like the people that set up the bracket and the tournament, like this is one of the worst mistakes they've ever had is having Gonzaga as an 8 seed. Just based on like it wasn't the most dominant season for them, but it was still a very good season for them that ended up in them winning the conference again. Yeah. Right. All of the metrics that people look at to show who the elite teams are has Gonzaga as a top 10 team in the nation. Yet they're sitting as an 8 seed. And not only does it suck for them to have to play Houston in the second round, it sucks for Houston to have to play Gonzaga in the second round. So yeah, there's a reason that a lot of people looked at that matchup and said that they wouldn't be shocked if the winner of that game ends up winning the entire region and heads to the Final Four. And that could very well be the case. And at this point, with Clemson being the gutless choking dogs that you were originally mentioning, I could see Houston or Gonzaga, whoever comes out of that bloodbath alive, ends up winning because would they have to go through, like Tennessee, Kentucky?
Yeah. So after that, so I got a couple parts here. After that is McNeese, Purdue. But let me ask you this real quick. We'll get back to McNeese, Purdue in a minute. So you're a number 1 seed. Would you rather play Creighton, likely, possibly UConn, or Gonzaga? So like I mean, the number one. I mean, the answer is Mississippi State or Baylor is who Duke's going to likely play. And but okay, you still have a very battle tested Baylor Bears team who was the 2021 national champion.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know, like, that's what I really like about day two. I like the Saturday, Sunday games because you really see those best teams really get tested and see if they're really for real. So a lot of different parts here. Wherever you want to go, let's go with it. But a lot of things crossed my mind there in that talk.
Yeah, and like I'm thinking about a lot of people, yourself included. I'm not like saying how could you do this, but like it's interesting that there were so many people that said this is a year that we're going to have all 4 1 seeds. But now we're saying, well, look at how tough these second round matchups are going to be, the 8-9. Like we're assuming that Florida is going to have no issue with UConn, assuming that UConn beats Oklahoma. We're assuming that Auburn is going to handle Creighton, even though Auburn hasn't exactly been amazing in the last couple tournaments or so. We're assuming that Houston's going to get past Gonzaga, and Gonzaga for a lot of people is a top 10 team. So yeah, it's very fascinating to see like how all of this is going to play out. So I'm like you. I'm very excited about the second round, and I think that that it's going to be some really, really good basketball here. Did I lose you?
Yes, you did. I didn't
Hi,
hear.
welcome.
I didn't hear hardly any of that.
Welcome back. I'm not going to say it again.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it again, but.
Well, I'm glad the listeners got to hear us. That's really all that matters is the listeners got to hear us. But so we move. So let's move over to Auburn, Creighton, Michigan, Texas A&M out of the South. So the top of the bracket. No upsets there.
Yeah, not really.
How nervous were we that Michigan might lose that game last night?
I thought they would until I realized that when it was like a 1-point game, and I was like, okay, I think UCSD can pull this off. And then I realized there was less than 2 minutes left. If there was like 3 or 4 minutes left in that game, I think UCSD gets it done. But I was like, Michigan's up by 1. There's less than 2 minutes. I don't know. I just felt like the Wolverines were going to barely sneak it out. And we were both marveling over how bad that last shot was that the Tritons took and just forcing it over the 7 foot. Like that was a really, really bad look if that's what you were trying to do.
And they had a timeout to use.
Yeah.
Like they had a timeout to use. So that goes back to the whole college basketball coaches. Some of them want their players to just play, and some of them want to set up an opportunity for them. If they wanted to let them play, then you might want to reconsider that one. Auburn Tigers came out slow, but they won pretty easily. And how about Creighton?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so whatever you said about Gonzaga competing with Houston, and I do believe it is going to be a competitive game. Creighton is going to compete with Auburn because Creighton likely is going to hit a dozen threes or more. They started slow, and then they got hot, and then it snowballed for Louisville. Louisville, a team who hated their seed to start with. And Louisville, who had a fairly home court advantage being 45 minutes away. But how about Creighton in that first game?
Yeah, and Creighton still ended up shooting 46% as a team from 3, despite missing however many shots to open up the game. I mean, it got to a point where they just couldn't miss.
Yeah.
And Louisville just didn't hit shots at all. Yeah, it was a blowout. It was a total blowout for an 8-9 game. And speaking of blowouts, so we mentioned this at the beginning of the show too. So if you look at the games we got yesterday, we didn't get the epic buzzer beater. We didn't get the monumental upset like McNeese, Drake. Okay. But Drake was also the most bet money line yesterday, like of any team in the tournament. So like it wasn't a hugely surprising day, but the close games we got, the Arkansas-Kansas game was very, very competitive. It ended up being a 7-point finish, but that was a close game. Obviously, Michigan-UC San Diego ended up being close. And then the Clemson-McNeese game ended up being, by 2 points, but it was not competitive. It was a 21 or 22 point game with 7 minutes left, right?
Right.
Everywhere else, though, like I'm just looking. So Wisconsin, 3 versus 14. Like Wisconsin still won by 19 points. Purdue won by 12 points. Texas A&M won by 9 points. BYU won by 9 points, even though they were blowing out too. UCLA won by 25. Creighton won by 14. Gonzaga won by 21. Like tons of blowouts yesterday. Tons, and even the games that were 7 point, 9 point, like the team that was leading was firmly in control. And I'm trying to think, did we have a single team yesterday come back like that was down by a good handful of points and then came back to win? It felt like every team that had a lead, a significant lead, ended up winning their game.
I mean, St. John's went down 7-0, but that doesn't. I don't think that's going to count.
I do not. They won by 30. I do not count, and they're also a 2 seed. But no, I'm just like, because I mean, Texas Tech was up pretty much the whole game. Now, even though they might have lost their lead, I'm talking about a team that was, if they were up at some point in the game, it seems like they held on to win.
Yeah. What excites us today? So today's games. I look at today's games and this tournament always starts with an 8-9 game because they're hoping for that to be competitive. Yesterday wasn't all that competitive. It was more just Creighton knocking down shot after shot after shot. Baylor, Mississippi State's a 1.5 point spread. So we hope maybe we get a competitive game there. The two then after that, Robert Morris and Alabama, that's a 22.5 point spread. Like, I don't know. And then Lipscomb, and a lot of people maybe want to see Lipscomb because Iowa State's banged up. That's a 14.5 point spread. First games today, anything stick out to you?
Yeah, I was just going to mention Iowa State for being a 3 seed. 14.5 points is not a whole lot.
Not really.
And I have seen a lot of people think that Lipscomb could pull off the upset. I can't remember. Did you have Lipscomb in your bracket?
I do. Most of that, and it was along some of the same reasoning. I thought Texas Tech might be banged up. They look pretty healthy though. I do know Iowa State is a little bit banged up. They're going to be missing Gilbert in that game. I would like to see. I would like this 12:30 Central Time today. I would like to see a game come down the wire and maybe Lipscomb pulls off an upset. Like we need that for our tournament. We need something. We need a Cinderella here because our Cinderellas right now are Drake and McNeese. Okay, McNeese is kind of a fun story, but like Will Wade's a power coach. He's going to be going to a power school. That's the crazy part. Like he's literally talking after the game about he's going to take guys somewhere else, whether it's North Carolina State, now Villanova in the talk. Like he literally is someone coming out and saying like, you guys know how this works. Like these guys want to play at a Power 5 school. They love this win today. They know next week they're probably not even going to be enrolled here. And that
it's
we
weird.
don't like. And nor do we like it, but that's how this works.
Yeah, where coaches can do things like this, and it's no problem. It's look at how cool this is. Look at the story of how he's moving, and he's getting his guys amped to go with him. Like I don't know. I feel like players were doing this where they said that they were going to transfer a day before their NCAA tournament game. I don't think it would go over the same way
because in the end. You got to keep in mind 365 days a year, the portal is open for head coaches. Yeah. So if the portal's open for head coaches, I'm just saying, I mean, these kids are going to want to leave because they like Will Wade. They like playing for him. Anyways, let's get back to today's games. North Carolina, who looked great on Tuesday night, they're a 1.5 point favorite, but that's not an upset. I mean, 11 beating a 6. That's not an upset.
Hold on, Rodney. Are you saying the scrappy underdog University of North Carolina is not a Cinderella team? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on,
man. The Jordan
that's
brand.
Like, you know what that's like? That's like a few years ago when UCLA was an 11 seed and they made the Final Four. And I was like, the lovable underdog UCLA Bruins. No, definitely no championship pedigree in their history.
Now we do have Mega Church Day today because we got Grand Canyon as a 10.5 point underdog against Maryland. And we got Liberty a 6.5 point dog tonight against Oregon. Both the mega churches going at it today. But so like everybody's going to be excited for Grand Canyon, and everybody will probably be excited for Liberty tonight. Maybe Bryant would be who America can rally around, but everybody seems to love Izzo this time of year. So I'm just trying to figure out how today's going to go. Akron Zips, people are going to be excited on that one if they can beat Arizona, but Arizona loses in the tournament every year. Just ask Amber. Just ask Amber. She sent you a reminder. Don't trust Arizona.
Don't trust. No, well, I sent it to myself through her a year ago.
Yeah. Okay.
We're gonna stand by that. Lipscomb also is a private Christian school, so So you have Lipscomb, Grand Canyon, and Liberty.
What about Troy?
Is Troy one too?
I don't know. I don't know what Troy is.
Mount St. Mary's is probably one as well. I'm going to assume
Mount St. Mary's would be. Now, obviously, like we would really love to rally around, and now those people that took the Gators wouldn't like this, but like if Norfolk State this afternoon can put up a fight, now we're talking like the Virginia level upset that would really spark this tournament. If Duke got tested this evening, now again, everybody loves the Dukies. That's not even this evening, that's this afternoon. But I don't know, like I love today, but I'm really excited about tomorrow because these second round games are going to be fun.
Let me ask you this real quick. So UNC is a favorite despite being an 11 seed. The other team that's a lower seed but that's a favorite in their matchup is Colorado State. In hindsight, I've seen so many people, myself included, think Colorado State's going to win this game. They opened up as a favorite. They're continuously the favorite. Are we dumb in thinking that a 12 seed that comes from the Mountain West Conference is now suddenly going to deliver on expectations and win as a 12 seed? And again, they're favored. Now, I wouldn't be surprised now if Colorado State gets blown out. Even though they were very good this year, they were the best team in their conference. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they get blown out because that's just what the Mountain West does. Like,
pound the Terrapins.
Terrible conference for this.
Yeah, pound the Terps. Now, I mean, keep in mind the San Diego State, when they ran to the Final Four, came out of the Mountain West. So we have seen some Mountain West success. But I'm with you. Like, I know there's been a lot of quote unquote professionals say don't trust the Mountain West. Okay, and that's fine. But you got to keep in mind San Diego State went to the Final Four. But I think you're onto something here. I think when we get closer to this game, let's see, when do they play? What's the time?
They're in the first group, so they're a 1:00 tip off Central. So they're part of they complete the first quad box of the day.
Oh no, sorry, and I said Maryland. It's actually Memphis.
Yeah.
And Memphis is a team. I mean, Memphis is in kind of a second tier conference too, with being the AAC 29-5. They've won 8 in a row. If it was Maryland, I'd be pounding Maryland. Memphis might be a little bit different story, but I kind of like that narrative. So we get closer to that one. We'll see what my bet wager goes to, because I'm the type, and this goes against all smart betting. Trust me, it does. I'm the type that, like, I'm waiting until like an hour before the game, and I'm going to see what the spread's at, and I'm psyching myself up one way or the other, and then I'm taking the bet. What I should have been doing is I should have been banging on these lines on Monday, but I don't want to see that money tied up. I hate that. I hate seeing money tied up. Oh, you've got X amount of money pending, but you've got it for 4 days. Well, I want to use that. I want to build on that or lose it. Anyways, that's how my betting life. I actually did pretty well yesterday because my two biggest bets, I threw this one out to our group. BYU, love them, and outside of the first 7-8 minutes, that looked great the entire day. Not a major sweat. And then I took Wilmington to cover last night. Didn't do the money line, and glad I didn't. But 15.5 points, and it looked sweaty real late, because I think at one point it was 12 with like a minute to go. And you know how these tournament games go, like 12 points, miss a shot, foul, 14, 45 seconds, miss a shot. Texas Tech now has like 36 seconds or something silly like that. This is all theoretically, but instead of running out the clock because you don't do a shot clock, some scrub comes in and bang, out at 17 and you lose the 15.5 point spread. But those are my two biggest bets. So I love that. Your favorite bet? Do you have a bet today that you like?
Not really. I don't think I didn't bet a ton yesterday. I did a couple live ones, just like taking live dogs, thinking like, okay, high point to cover once they got down. That didn't hit. Clemson to win. That didn't hit. It got worse, and then it gave me hope, and then it crushed me again. So I don't know. I was gonna ask you if you had like a specific one that you were gonna go with, but yeah,
I will probably take Lipscomb to cover 14.5.
Yeah.
Because I took them in many contests in my bracket. I will probably take them. That's kind of the first segment of games. Second segment of games, I do think North Carolina wins that game, so probably take them via the money line, 1 or 1.5, whatever. So I'm just kind of going through the different tiers here. I think Troy can compete with Kentucky at 12 or 11.5 points, so probably take the Trojans there. And then tonight, I'm taking Xavier. They look pretty good, and I think the way they play will force the Illini into shooting a lot of deep shots. And Illinois, man, they get in this habit where they shoot and they miss, and they shoot and they miss, and then they shoot and miss again. So we'll see. But those probably in each tier is what I'll be taking today.
Yeah, I was gonna ask your thoughts about the Diamond Dudes. So thank you for teasing us there. I'll take Illinois, but only to just do Tim Curse and reverse jinx it.
Now keep in mind though, for those legality police out there, we can't bet Illinois here in the state of Illinois. Legally.
That is true. That is true. Excellent. Thank you for covering that, Rodney. All right.
I don't want the betting police coming after us for betting on Illinois game in Illinois.
Oh, trust me, man. As our profile rises, like people are going to be waiting for us to slip up, so they can the McAfee police are going to be trying to slow our rise. What does this mean? So you put this into the card. How many hours of basketball?
Yeah. So yesterday, did you literally watch the entire day? So 11 A to 11 P.
Yeah, it's closer to like 11:40 P. But yeah, it was. Yeah, I watched every single. From the opening game tipping off to when Texas Tech, as soon as Texas Tech ended the game, I shut it off. I did not stay for the post game and all that stuff. But yes, I put in over 12 hours of basketball yesterday, and I plan to do so again today.
So you're running totals so we'll go 12.5 today. So or yesterday, 12.5 hours yesterday. You're likely in for another 25 or 12.5 today. So you'll be at 25 at the end of tonight.
Yes.
And then I'll check back with you on Saturday and Sunday and see what you did.
Saturday, Rodney, I can't emphasize this enough. Rounds 1 and 2 of the NCAA tournament, I am locked into every single second of it.
Right.
It's once the tournament advances, like once we get to like the Elite Eight and Final Four, then it's just like, okay, well, I've already seen this at the Champions Classic in November. It doesn't have the same effect for me as these first two rounds does, where it's just the quad box and it's just all of these games that happening all at once and the bracket. Like at that point, like I still watch, but it's not as much of a must see for me.
And Amber is okay with it.
Yeah. Oh, I told you yesterday. She was awake. She was locked in. Now, granted, she wasn't locked into the game. She was reading the entire time. Did not look up once. Not look up a single second while the quad box is going. Like she's in the living room. It's not like she like went to another room. Like she was there, but like did not captivate her enough to look up at the television. But that's fine. That's fine. She knows.
Real quick. So I have not lost the Final Four team yet. What about you?
You know the answer, man.
You knew this. You knew this was a potential.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Listen. Could I have just done the easy thing and taken 4 1 seeds and still have my Final Four teams intact after the opening round? Sure, I could have. I chose not to. I chose to be bold. And sorry for not seeing Clemson having the worst first half in the history of the NCAA tournament and for having, what do they have, like 29 points with 8 minutes to go?
Yeah, not great.
I'm sorry that I didn't foresee that happening. And you're like, oh, ACC. I was like, okay, well, yeah, like they also beat Duke and Kentucky this year. They had like one regulation loss in the last 2 months. Like, they're not a bad team by any means. And Clark Kellogg also had them going to the Final Four. He watched a lot of college basketball, so suck it.
All right, real quick, Stupid Show Madness on Twitter. Second round voting today. There'll be 8 games posted after this. They'll be running for, let's see, it'll be about 27 hours till noon tomorrow. And then at noon tomorrow, we'll have our Sweet 16. Probably take the rest of the weekend off and start the voting on Monday for the round of 16. But we are down to 24 teams. We'll recap it on Tuesday when we get to our Sweet. Actually, that's what I'll do. We'll have Tuesday's show, and that will have the Sweet 16 matchups then. But go to our Twitter account at Stupid Sports Show, no W on the end, and you can get the 8 remaining second round games today there for our eventual who is the best college basketball champion of all time. We'll have those posted later today. That's our, and use the hashtag Stupid Show Madness. That's the recap for that.
Excellent. Love it. All right. Shall we wrap up with the 51s?
I think so. Because we've got a lot of things we need to do here in the next 2 hours in our lives before 11 o'clock. We're going to cut about 10 minutes short today and go about 45, 50 minutes. But when you teased this on Tuesday, you were thinking Ichiro.
Yes? That was Ichiro and one other person specifically.
Dick Butkus?
Not Dick Butkus. Same sport, baseball.
So let's just say right now those two are on our Mount Rushmore.
Oh yes, I'll tell you this right now, Rodney. We're gonna leave some really good players off this Mount Rushmore.
The name you were thinking about would be Randy Johnson.
That's correct.
Yeah. So Randy Johnson's on our Mount Rushmore. That's what I think we need to do today. So we'll name our Mount Rushmore, and then we'll say these are the guys that don't make it. Because number 4 on Mount Rushmore is going to be what? Trevor Hoffman? This is where we can debate.
I think so. So there's some really good ones in the NFL, like Hall of Famers. So first of all, 51 is an excellent linebacker number.
Yeah.
Because not only do you have Dick Butkus, you also have Takeo Spikes. You also have Sam Mills, Hall of Famer. So those are like your top 51s in the NFL. You also, and like these aren't Hall of Famers, but like Jonathan Vilma, Gerard Mayo, like some of the other, Paul Posluszny. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Those are guys who are like very good NFL players too. Number 51s as well. They're not going to go on the Mount Rushmore, but like I would say Dick Butkus, Randy Johnson, Ichiro are for sure. I want to just do a quick confirmation with like the NBA and NHL and NASCAR and like things like that. We need to start looking at like college numbers too, like college basketball, college football numbers. I got to find an easy way to look those up as well, because I feel like we're leaving some potentials off the board. NBA, I don't think there's any.
Yeah.
By the way, NHL, I didn't catch it until after the show. When we were doing the number 50 discussion, you didn't mention your boy, Stanley Cup winner Jordan Binghamton, as a number 50.
You're right. Along with Adam Wainwright, I got so excited about Wainwright being there that I missed Bennington. Did win a Stanley Cup. They didn't trade him this year, so it looks like he's going to at least be a Blue for a little bit longer. But sorry, Jordan. Sorry, Jordan. My apologies.
Yeah, no one really in hockey that's speaking that. So you know what? I think we do go. So there's 3 options.
Yeah. So hold on. Let's say Ichiro, Randy Johnson, Dick Butkus in. Period.
In. Yep. Congratulations. First ballot, easy. So this is really the debate for me. We have Takeo Spikes and Sam Mills in the NFL. Obviously, Spikes played in our time. Sam Mills a little bit before my time. So yeah. I'm not attached to either of them, really. Baseball, we do have Trevor Hoffman. We also have Bernie Williams. 16 years patrolling center field for the New York Yankees. His numbers retired by the Yankees. Obviously, his multiple World Series championships and a career WAR that's about 20 wins higher than Trevor Hoffman. And also, Rodney, surprised you haven't mentioned this one, longtime St. Louis Cardinal Willie McGee. was number 51 as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one said it'd be easy, partner. You know, this
Now
is why we do this.
Now I think it's Bernie Williams over Trevor Hoffman. And we can use the reasoning of we've already got a pitcher. Such a bad reason, but we need some kind of reason. We already have Randy Johnson. Sorry, we got a bat now. Bernie Williams. I think my vote goes for Bernie Williams. I would go Bernie Williams over Trevor Hoffman and Trevor Hoffman over Willie McGee, obviously. So would most people, because big Cardinal fan. I mean, I love Willie McGee. I think what he did in the '80s was fantastic, but not the Bernie Williams, Trevor Hoffman level. My vote is going to be Bernie Williams for 4th spot.
I don't know about you, but this is a conversation for another day. Maybe once we're in like the dog days of summer and we're talking a lot of baseball, we need to just sort of find random things to discuss. How is it that Bernie Williams and Jorge Posada were one and done on the Hall of Fame ballot?
Yeah, well, Yankees.
But you would think that would help them, right? Because everyone's like, oh, if Derek Jeter played for the Royals, he wouldn't have been a Hall of Famer. Like, right. Shut up. But like Bernie Williams and Jorge Posada absolutely had cases, both of them. And even if they weren't Hall of Famers, like they should have gotten more than 5%. I don't know. Now you got to be talking baseball Hall of Fame voting.
So who's your vote?
I'm going to go Bernie. I'm going to go Bernie. So Bernie's going to round it out. Ichiro, Randy Johnson, Dick Butkus. I feel very good about that.
I do love this one from Dan. I still remember that very vividly. Boban missing the free throw with a big grin on his face so fans could win free chicken.
That big dopey grin of his. It's great.
Oh, big dopey grin. And then we missed this one from earlier because he is hockey guy. Brian Campbell. You can say some of these other names. Jeremy Roenick.
No. One season. You say the names.
Valtteri Filppula.
Yeah.
Franz Nielsen and Jake Gardner.
Yeah, see, that wasn't that bad.
No. But thanks, Dan. You're the hockey guy and you give our hockey numbers. So none of those are making the Hall of Fame or the Mount Rushmore. So congratulations to Ichiro, Randy Johnson, Dick Butkus, and Bernie Williams. This is a really good Mount Rushmore. This is a really
very
good
strong. Very strong. Yeah. And it's tough when you have to leave Trevor Hoffman, who at one point was the all-time leader in saves off of the Rushmore, but I'm going to give it to Bernie.
52 should be pretty good, but I don't think it's going to top 51.
Yeah, I think 52 it's going to be NFL focused.
Yeah.
Which is okay. With me.
It's okay. All right. Well, I say we get out of here today, huh?
Let's do it, man. We got like 2.5 hours to get locked in for this tournament. Day 2, I'm excited. I will be watching every second. You don't have to worry about that. I expect my unhinged ramblings via text during the time when a team that I picked to win goes down 5-1 to start the game. And I say, see ya. It's over.
Reminder, I'm finishing up the Substack. I will have that within the next hour. Send that out. You can get all your picks. Did fairly well yesterday. I've done fairly well overall. 28.3 units ahead year to date. So sign up for that via the Substack. And if you want today's picks, do that here in the next hour. Go to Substack and find that there. And then, of course, our Stupid Show Madness on Twitter is right there. Stupid Sports Show, no W, on Twitter, not X. Your turn, and let's go home.
In case you miss any of the previous 50 shows of the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth, make sure to listen wherever you get your podcasts. That includes Spotify, Apple, iHeart, YouTube. Pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find us there. Make sure to give us a rating, a like, a review, a subscribe, an unsubscribe, a resubscribe. Do it all. And also, we put this out a couple weeks ago. If you want to partner with the show, we already have a great partnership that just started up with our friends over at Gateway Sports. If you would like to also be included in the love, get some mentions, could be anything. Could be sponsoring our Mount Rushmores. Could be sponsoring Rodney Substack. Give us a not really a call, but just you know where to find us. You know where to find us. Reach out. We'd love to do business.
Yeah,
we'd love to sell out. I already said that with enough money, I would rename myself after your business. So
yeah, but don't call me on the phone. We'll talk via email first, and then I'll call you on the phone if it is that important, right?
yeah,
Don't
no,
call.
yeah, no. I know
Anyways,
you famously hate phone calls. So
I mean, I hate surprise phone calls. Like, I
yeah.
don't mind setting up a phone call, but let's discuss when a good time is. Don't call me by surprise.
Mhm.
Like, hey, Rodney, I'd like to talk. Fine, let's talk. 10 minutes, okay? Yeah, sure. All right. Well, 10 minutes, I know this phone call's coming. I don't like this surprise phone call. I may not answer, but you say, hey, sorry, I missed your call. What's up? Hey, can we talk on the phone? Sure. All right. There we go. Right? Like, I don't know. I
No,
just don't
makes
like
sense.
the surprise phone call.
No, makes sense to me, man. All right, well, let's get out of here. For our very tired March Madness fan, Rodney Newpel, from his alley, this is Tim Tiny Van Stratton. And we'll talk to you next Tuesday to not just recap the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament and to give a quick preview of the Sweet 16, but it will be our official mega MLB preview show. Yay, I guess. Baseball back. Excited? I am, I think. Not sure. I think we lost Rodney again. Dude, your internet connection is just not helping us today, man. Just not helping us. All right, I'm gonna get us out of here. For Rodney, this is Tim Tiny Van Stratton. We'll talk to you next Tuesday for the stupidest sports show on earth. See you guys. Step right up, dummies, and listen to the stupidest sports show on earth with Rodney Newpol and Tim Van Stratton. Yeah.